At VA, interoperability is alive and well. We've been exchanging data with DoD for the last 20-some years, and recently in 2016, we've upgraded our capacity into a FHIR HL7 interface. And through that interface, we've carried over 157 million records between the two organizations. And what this means to our patients and our veterans is that we can, at the clinician station in VA, we can see the entire history of their VA and DoD treatments over time. And that is made possible by FHIR. In the journey that most patients now take, patients actually go from a VA hospital and then they may end up in a community care provider for certain parts of their treatment. And in the example we're using here, a heart patient who has some early symptoms of heart failure basically goes to a community care provider and then on to a DoD provider who may actually conduct the surgery. So in this case, it's Army Medical Hospital, Army Medical Center, and then goes back to, for treatment, once with the successful operation, goes on to treatment at another VA center, and then on to a treatment at a community care provider. So this is a real-world journey that our patients and our veterans are participating in, and a lot of it is possible because of the data exchange that's available between the various partners. So what we'd like to do now is talk a little bit more about the relationship with our community care providers. So I'll be turning the mic over.
And I'm Joe Nelson. I'm the Community Engagement Program Manager within the Veteran Health Information Exchange Program in the Veterans Health Administration. And what I am going to talk to you today about is our community partners that we have out across the United States. So as you can see, this is a map of the United States, and within this map, this is showing you a lot of healthcare. The business proposition of this map is that over 1.8 million veteran records are currently available for exchange across the country. So of those exchange partners across the country, we have over 150 currently in production with the VA. Of those 150 partners, we have 1,219 hospitals, 21,426 clinics, 506 federally qualified healthcare centers, 676 labs, 8,622 pharmacies, 261 nursing homes, and over 1,000 other ancillary sites. And this data is as of the end of February 2018. So if you look at the middle of the map, where you see the green dots on the map, those are our production partners that we have currently around the country. Where you can see the orange, those are our FY18 prioritized partners. So those partners that we're trying to bring into production with the VA for sharing during this fiscal year, which goes from 1 October through the end of September. Where you see the yellow, those are our testing partners that we have around the country. So they may not be ready to be brought into production this year, but we are testing with them so we can bring them into production sometime in the near future. The little orange dots, those are our VA medical centers that are located around the country. So as you look at the map, you can see that we have a lot of production partners in a lot of different parts of the country with the VA medical centers. So with that, I'm going to actually turn this over to the Joint Legacy viewer team, where they're going to actually show you where you can go in and see the community care documents that we have with production partners around the corner.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Amanda Canoyer. I'm here with Department of Veterans Affairs from the Office of Health Informatics, and I'm joined today by a colleague, Dr. Risa Mizo. We're here today to explain to you the Joint Legacy viewer. Next slide. So one of the challenges we had in VA is that when we treat patients, their records are not always at one location. We're going to have multiple data sources for these records. In particular, all of the veterans that come to us have electronic records in the DoD system. As well as we have health information exchange partner records. Currently the VA has 150 partners. So the solution we came up with in order to provide an integrated view for these records among both VA and DoD staff is a jointly developed application called Joint Legacy Viewer. This provides an integrated read-only view to all VA, DoD, and HIE electronic health record data. Can you pull that one back up? Sorry. Go to the last one. Okay. All right, so what JLV does is it provides that one-stop shop for national level patient search for all of this EHR data. All this EHR data is mapped to national standards supporting semantic interoperability. JLV is easy to use, intuitive user face. It's customizable by each user, so you can really design it to accomplish your workflow with efficiency. We also have designed and support frequent upgrades and enhancements to the application that are jointly managed by VA and DoD. And currently, our user base, we have over 300,000 VBA and VHA staff with JLV access, as well as on the DoD side, they've got 90,000 DoD staff with access to JLV. At this point in time, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Amizo, who's going to give you a clinical review within JLV.
Thank you. We got to break this switch over.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't see the cursor. Oh. Okay, so should I just talk as I...
Yeah, why don't you kind of
Turn that so it's in front of you.
Yeah, maybe I should try to turn it a little bit sideways, huh? Does that work okay? Like that? Okay, now let's try to one-hand it.
Why don't you just kind of set me up and then I'll go, you just handed it to you and say,
Okay. Hi, I'm Reese Omizo from VA Pacific Islands, and we have the interface for JLV here. So this would be the opening page that you look at. It looks a little busy, but when folks know what's going to be there, it's actually pretty easy for them to use. So the data comes in these discrete data types. So we have different data elements, and each and every one of these little squares or rectangles work like a separate application. So these are actually tiles that go out, they're widgets, and they'll go out across the federal universe and they'll bring back data and bring it together in one data view. So what you see here with the blue dots are VA facilities, the orange squares are DoD facilities, and these purple hexagons are coming from the community partners that we have. So if a patient were to travel from point A to point B, we'll be able to provide the records from essentially point of injury to point of care. We get the theater data, so we can see combat records. We have Alta, we have Essentris, we have MHS Genesis, we have Vista CPRS, we have the community partners are bringing their data in, as you saw earlier, from the Wheeler project. So all of these are available to you. So clinically, what that means is that if I need information, I can get it. I'm not using this as my main viewer for anything except for finding information. I'm using CPRS as my primary medical record, and I'm just using JLV to pull up the information that I need. So I'm going to show you one of the customized workspaces. This is a clinical review. I just created this. It doesn't mean anything. I have it just set up. I just brought up some random widgets. So we have 25 different data elements that we can bring up. So look down here at the bottom. So any of these can be brought up to the workspace. So each of these workspaces are customized. And I brought this up as an example of what I might do as a clinician. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this right here. And everything that has a hyperlink on it will bring up additional records for you or detail. In this case, I can either open the document or I can save it to a meta document, and I'll maybe have Amanda talk about that in a little bit. But this is a record here, looking like it's coming from MHS Genesis. And these will just display in this way. So what it is if I'm working and I need to see this information, I can bring it up very quickly. Here we have allergies. So I have a patient who's got an aspirin allergy in the DoD. We have the DoD information, the DoD detail, and I'll bring up the same allergy over on the VA side. So these allergies are not being passed between the services. They actually just exist there. So all we're doing is grabbing the data, compiling it, and then presenting it to the user. So all the normal stuff that you see in VA would be here in the allergies detail. Okay, well, we bring in community health summaries. I'll bring up one of these. And we will see the CCD that's presented to us by the partner. So here we go. So it's in the standard format. And I can use this information to take care of my patient. So the idea behind it is we take care of patients from the point of injury to the point of care. You know, if someone's injured in combat, they may end up in a field hospital, go to a hospital in Germany, come back to the United States, get rehab in a VA facility. So really, this is the way that the providers would get the whole picture, the big picture, from injury to point of care. So the usage for it, so that's a brief overview of the clinical usage for it, and I'll let Amanda talk briefly about the benefits usage for JLV. Amanda?
Great, thank you. So what Dr. Amizo demonstrated here is how JLV is used as a supplemental tool to our clinicians for providing care. We have another use case that's really become a critical use case for VA and DoD, and this is called non-clinical chart reviews. For instance, in VA, we've got our Veterans Benefits Administration staff who are working and processing disability claims, vocational rehabilitation claims, and so JLV has been found to be their primary tool for chart review. So I want to kind of give you a demonstration of what I would be doing if I was going in as a Veterans Benefits Administrator trying to grant somebody a service-connected claim. What I'm really looking for is, first, that the diagnosis that they've claimed exists. I'm going to come in somewhere like my problems list where I'm pulling in all the VA and DoD diagnosis. If this veteran in particular had claimed diabetes, I can see right here in DoD that this veteran was diagnosed with diabetes mellitus. I can open it and I can see here it was entered in 2011. So that might be enough right there to establish onset during their military service. Then one of the other things I would need to validate is they still have an active condition for diabetes. And I can look here on the VA side, right up here at San Diego, they also have a current active diagnosis for diabetes. So this would be really kind of a telltale, okay, I've got in-service, I've got current condition, I've got treatment on both sides within VA and DoD, and now I need to go find those supporting documents to validate that claim, really to kind of establish the continuity of care. So here I went through problems list. I like to always look at appointments because if I'm trying to make any kind of decision for a veteran, I want to see do they have any upcoming appointments that evidence might be critical. Or I could look back and see past appointments. If I know the clinician they may have been seen for that condition, I can pinpoint some dates and try and find out where the note might be. Some of the other widgets that I like to go into for data is progress notes. Here I can see where their current treatment's been. And all these widgets, I've got sorting features by the columns. So they're typically sorted by chronological by date to start, but I could come in and do document type, provider. If I found that provider in the appointments widget, that might help me pinpoint to that information. And then what sites they were also treated at. All of the data that's being pulled into this widget is all filtered by a date range. If I know the specific dates that veteran was treated, I can come in here and isolate that data. Typically we have smaller date ranges as defaults to help with performance. The larger the date range, the longer that this widget may take to go query all of that possible data sources and produce that data. So in here, I'm actually just going to throw this back a little. So I'm going to go 2012, and I'm going to hit apply. And why this one is now actually going back out and re-querying every data source for this veteran, and it's going to repopulate this widget for me. And so now you can see I've grown quite a bit in my documents. One of the things I wanted to demonstrate is there's a more button. This current view, this small little widget box, this is kind of called our minimized view. It's a very basic, quick snapshot. If I go in more though, now I have a lot more filtering capabilities. So again, if I knew for a fact that the provider that I'm looking for was Meyer from the VA, I could come in here and I could say, I know this treater is the one that's primarily been seeing all of their diabetic treatment within the VA. So now I've narrowed and isolated my data search to what I'm looking for. And you can see here we can filter by document type, standardized document type, provider, provider specialty. We can also filter by sites. And this one, this provider specific is at Anchorage. But if I wanted to go back and remove the filters, say I found what I needed from VA, now I only want to look at DoD data. I can come in and I can narrow that down by DoD data specifically. And then I can still come in and do multiple filtering. So say I'm looking for Dr. Chung here, and there I found the 2 notes that were written by Dr. Chung. So it's progress notes. One of the other things that we feature for DoD data specifically, DoD is currently deploying their MHS Genesis product. So all of the notes that are being brought in from their IOC sites are currently available in JLV. Dr. Amizo opened one of those notes for you earlier. So if I'm looking specific to VBA, I definitely want to look here. And then we've got something that's really beneficial for chart reviews. It's called a documents widget. This is where I throw all the data we possibly have into one widget. This is going to be beneficial for a few reasons. But first I want to kind of highlight what this yellow banner is. We have something called a connection error. Because I'm going out and querying every possible data source for this person, if something does not respond or something's down, this is going to indicate to our clinical and chart reviewers that you're not getting data from a specific site. So in this instance, Centris, which is the DoD's inpatient data source, is not able to display records from Lackland. So if I know the person that I'm reviewing had inpatient records at Lackland, I need to try and requery this data or find alternative methods to get that data. Especially in clinical decision tools, this is really important to let them know you are missing data from a specific source. But what's great with Documents widget, especially for chart reviewers, is it's, again, your one-stop shop. You're looking at everything in here. And again, the filtering level that we provide in here is pretty robust. I can come in here and I can say specifically, I'm looking for DoD data. It's going to take a minute on me. And then I can actually even come in and filter it down by what kind of data I'm looking for. I'm specifically looking for theater medical records. I need to validate any treatment that was provided to this service member, OCONUS. I can click on TMDS, and boom, right there. Now I've got the 2 TMDS notes that were provided for the treatment. This specific veteran had treatment in Kandahar under the Navy. So this is kind of a quick snapshot of how our benefits and non-clinical chart reviewers would use JLV as well. And for those, this again is their primary tool for reviewing records. So great, we hope you enjoyed your overview of Joint Legacy Viewer and appreciate your time today.
So continuing the story of interoperability, once a patient has been discharged from the hospital, we can turn to wearable devices that will continue the monitoring of a patient as they make their recovery at home. So with Omron Healthcare, we're an interoperability partner. We now have a wrist-worn wearable device that can capture blood pressure, and that data through our open SDK provides integration directly into the VA's ecosystem. And so through the FHIR protocol, that data can automatically go in and start to populate the medical record for that patient. And so while they are continuing to be monitored, their progress as they recover at home, we are able to bring in accurate blood pressure information and have that automatically populated into their record.
Hi, my name is Daphne Reynolds. I'm a Presidential Management Fellow with the Department of Veterans Affairs and also an Army veteran. And today I would like to ask Greg, why is it important to have this record of interoperability between the DoD and VA?
Well, thank you, Daphne, and thank you for your service to our country. And the product that you just saw really began its journey 20 years ago when President Clinton signed Presidential Review Directive 5, 20 years ago this year. And in that order from President Clinton, it was to direct the Departments of Defense, Veterans Affairs, and Health and Human Services to build a comprehensive, lifelong electronic health record. What President Clinton had in mind was correcting a problem that came to his attention through the study of the Gulf War illness. And in that, the expert panel that was comprised of academic, commercial, and public health officials said that the paper record made it impossible for surveillance, medical surveillance, to actually determine what was the cause of Gulf War illness. And so, Daphne, in our 2 decades of work, we have been following the strategic direction of the multiple secretaries of defense, multiple secretaries of the VA, and multiple presidents, all of whom are most concerned about the care that we deliver to you as a veteran of the United States military.